The midpoint of Episode 4 Act 1 is fast approaching, and we can mark that occasion with a new patch. What is going on, ProGuides family? It is your host Sergeant Frost, and today we have the patch 4.03 rundown. This patch is bringing some nice adjustments to in-game performance, and we are starting to see the first wave of deathmatch game mode changes roll out into the live servers. But before we hop into the patch notes, since mid-season is now upon us, your time for climbing up the rank ladder for this act is slowly dwindling. If you want that leg up on the competition to help you reach your peak rank, we recommend AimLab, the best free aim trainer available. And while you're downloading AimLabs, don't forget to visit our website ProGuides.com, where our Radiant and Immortal level coaches are more than happy to help you become the player of your dreams. Just click the link in the description if you're interested, and let's get right into these patch notes. For agent updates, the only agent receiving a change in this patch is Brimstone. Brimstone's ultimate now properly blocks gameplay visibility while active. So what that means for his ultimate is that you will no longer be able to see enemies on the minimap through his ultimate. And abilities that require line of sight to function, such as flashes and Sova recon pulses, will no longer apply through the ultimate. This is a nice quality of life change to fix some of the logistical problems with Brimstone's ultimate. Nothing game changing to bring him up in the meta, just a couple of changes to make sure his ult works how it's supposed to. We have some good news in the game mode updates this week. Deathmatch is getting some nice updates in patch 4.03. Let's quickly rattle off the changes so that you know what you're working with. The devs have removed and in some cases relocated dangerous spawn locations. They have improved spawn logic and spawn placement to increase the likelihood that you will be facing other players in an encounter. Spawning logic will now favor respawn locations farther away from where you are defeated, and they have fixed an issue where the warm-up phase was not using spawn logic properly. On top of that, the respawn time has been reduced from 3 seconds to 1.5 seconds. Well, these are a slew of changes, some that we asked for and some that we didn't ask for involving the deathmatch game mode. Hopefully these changes can fix some of deathmatch's inherent issues with spawns and spawn timings that lead to unavoidable deaths. It will be interesting to see how that spawn logic will work on smaller maps like Split and Ascent, but I hope the new system can figure it out and deliver a better deathmatch experience. For social updates, the devs have updated the AFK detection in-game to deter players from exploiting game modes to farm XP. Watch out, XP farmers, the devs are onto your tricks of trying to farm XP for the battle pass. Let's see if this can actually get rid of people who are just farming XP and not the unfortunate player whose internet gave out on them in the loading screen though. Now let's move on to performance updates. Global Invalidation provides up to 15% improvement to baseline performance for CPU-bound players. So that means CPU-bound players are generally mid to high spec machines. These numbers are based on the data gathered from the PvE over the 2 weekends of January 22nd and 23rd and February 5th and 6th. Although they expect a large portion of the player base to benefit from these gains, your machine's performances may vary. Okay, so let's explain this in the simplest of computer science terms for those who are not very well versed. Valorant is an inherently CPU-bound game, which means the game's engine leans on your CPU processor more than it does your graphics card or GPU to run the game. CPU-bound machines are players whose systems don't have the best of GPUs, so the game leans heavily on the processor to make the game run smoothly. The problem is, not all CPUs are built equally, especially if they are not overclocked and properly cooled, which means stressing the CPU can actually hurt performance and overall frames instead of helping it. The devs are trying to fix this common issue for players whose gaming rigs have CPUs that can't keep up. Hopefully these adjustments can help the overall performance of the game for everyone. For cosmetic updates, the devs have updated the colors of the titles used to display sprays in your collections. For instance, some sprays were too close to the color of the original tile and were hard to see properly before actually using them in game. For game system updates on this patch, the devs have added an option to return to the strongest weapon. To explain it a little bit better, you can now return to the strongest weapon when pressing the Equip Last Use Item key or when auto-equipping a weapon. To toggle on, go to the settings and then controls and equipment under Prioritize Strongest Weapon. This is a neat little feature to be added to make sure you don't accidentally pull out the wrong gun while trying to swap guns in game. Trust me, we've all had that screw up where we accidentally whip out our knife when we wanted to pull out our sidearm in a gunfight. It happens to everybody. In esports features, the devs have changed projectile follow to where it is now fixed for observer followers, and they have added observer settings toggle to turn agent portrait on and off. Now let's wrap up this video with bug fixes. In agent bug fixes, the devs have fixed a bug where Chamber's Headhunter and Tour de Force could float away. They have fixed an exploit where using specific lineups, it was possible to see inside Viper's ultimate without being affected by the nearsighted debuff. And they have fixed a bug where Viper's ultimate would sometimes fail to expand through doorways. For social bug fixes, the devs have fixed a bug where pressing enter in pregame wouldn't focus chat. And they have fixed a bug where right-clicking on a player portrait would not bring up a context menu. And finally, for performance bug fixes, the devs have fixed a bug where performance stats would be hidden while spectating the spike. And for known issues, there is a brief flash when swapping into free cam mode as an observer follower. Well guys, that's all we have for the patch 4.03 rundown. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to drop a like and consider subscribing to our channel. Also, don't forget to check out ProGuides.com to gain some access to some truly amazing coaching. This has been your host, Sergeant Frost, and I'll see you all again in the next one.